Hello there my fellow notebook aficionados, it's Alex here for Notebook Check Reviews. This fantastic looking fella right here in front of me is Gigabyte's new Aero 16. Aimed mostly at creators, this one tries to take on your MacBooks, ZenBooks and other mainstream workstation notebooks like the MSI Creator for example. Our review sample comes with a redesigned chassis, updated I/O, a 13th gen Intel i9-13900H, 32GB of DDR5-5200 RAM, a 1TB SSD, and it is also the first laptop in the studio rocking the new RTX 4070. The new upper mid-range mobile GPU runs at around 100 watts in the Aero, and it will be very interesting to see how it fares in games and especially in creative applications. So let's see what the Aero 16 can deliver and if it is worth your hard-earned cash for a slim and premium work and entertainment notebook. Gigabyte's Aero lineup started a few years ago with some very functional looking laptops and was redesigned last year with a silver color option and a much more premium look and feel. Unfortunately, they also pulled an Apple on us and went full USB-C when it comes to port selection. They remedied that with flying colors this time around and also refined the chassis slightly as well. The 2023 Aero is again a very compact 16-inch performance notebook, and Gigabyte was also able to shave off a few grams compared to last year's model, making this one quite the portable powerhouse. The chassis is very well made and offers no reason to complain at all. The base is extremely rigid with no give or flex anywhere, and even the display lid is exceptionally sturdy. The hinges are well adjusted with only minimal wobble once it reaches your desired position. In regards to ports, Gigabyte really did their homework this time around. On the right we still get the dual USB-C Thunderbolt 4 arrangement, but on the left we can find an additional microSD card reader and the audio combo port alongside a USB-C 3.2 Gen 2. While the card reader is a welcome addition, I personally prefer the full-size variant, since most cameras rely on regular SD cards. The power connector moved to the back, and next to it we can find a single USB-A and HDMI 2.1. While those two do not sound like much, just having an additional USB-A port and a display connection that doesn't rely on dongles makes a big difference in everyday usability. Should your next briefing for the big video production or photo job be held over Zoom or the like, you will be very happy with the Aero 16's camera. The image looks very clean and well exposed. If you want to upgrade or repair your Aero in the future, Gigabyte offers access to both memory banks and 2 NVMe slots. The Wi-Fi card is swappable as well. Regarding inputs, again, the Aero 16 passes with flying colors. The white color scheme for both the keycaps and the trackpad look very clean, and the keys themselves feel very good overall. They have quite a bit of travel and a pronounced pressure point. The layout is pretty standard too and offers regular sized keys throughout. The trackpad worked great during our testing and both gestures and navigation around the OS felt smooth and responsive without any glitches. I am unsure how I feel about the design decision to have the Aero logo flying around on it. Putting it cleanly in the middle, if at all, would have looked a lot better in my opinion. Alright folks, let's talk display. And oh my, there is a lot of good stuff to talk about. You might already know from previous videos that I am personally slightly partial when it comes to OLED, and the Aero 16 is a prime example of why that is the case. While brightness is only average with around 400 nits, uniformity and black levels are still top notch regarding display tech. Mini LED comes close, but I always feel that they look a little weird when you're not playing games or consuming content. OLEDs do give you all of this sweet, almost 3D looking contrast with a much more natural appearance. Content creators will love this puppy as well, with 95% coverage of Adobe RGB and almost 100% for both DCI-P3 and sRGB. Everyone working with any kind of visual media will very much enjoy this panel. Color reproduction from the factory is really good, and we measured an average delta E of 1.6. Our manual calibration improved that even further, and we've been able to bring that number below 1. Gigabyte partnered with X-Rite once more, and this time around they included their profile manager, and this little piece of software is a godsend as well if you're working in different color profiles yourself. For example, we are using Resolve 18 for our video editing, and since Resolve isn't doing color management in their user interface like some other programs, you have to be able to limit the color space yourself, especially on a wide gamut display like this one. And having a very good sRGB profile for creating video footage is an amazing bonus when working on the road. For some users, PWM is the Achilles heel of OLEDs. And while I do not yet have the possibility for these measurements, we will have a written review on the website for you guys very soon. That will include those numbers as well. I will link to the article as soon as it's ready. Alright my fellow creators, let's talk performance. Can the Aero deliver for both work and those after work gaming sessions? Regarding the CPU, we already established that Intel's new 13th Gen H series do not offer groundbreaking performance improvements, and the Aero 16 with its i9-3900H lands somewhere in the middle between last year's fastest CPUs. That said, it's a couple of percentage points below its predecessor, which has been equipped with the i9-12900HK in our overall performance rating. In our Cinebench runs, it can deliver better numbers in multi-core loads, but for some reason it falls behind in single-core scenarios. So in general, the Aero 16 offers decent CPU speeds, but nothing positively surprising at all. System performance is excellent, and the subjective performance impression for the 16-incher is very snappy no matter the workload. The NVMe SSD in the Aero is doing its part for that as well and offers fast read and writes. Transfers didn't show any major dips, but we have seen more stable behavior on other devices, but that should hardly matter during everyday use case scenarios. The Aero 16 is the first notebook in the studio that features Nvidia's latest ADA mobile chip, the RTX 4070. And I must admit, I'm really not sure what to think about it. While both the mobile 4080 and 4090 offered quite a performance boost compared to last year's high-end 3080 Ti, the RTX 4070 delivers a more complicated first impression. That said, while its specs overall do not sound that much more impressive than last year's 3070 Ti, it can deliver solid performance numbers overall. Maybe we have just been expecting a bit too much after seeing what the higher end mobile chips can do. In the Aero 16 specifically, the mid-range GPU can get up to 105 watts of juice, and in our combined 3D Mark performance rating, it can keep up and mostly even outperform most RTX 3070 and 3080 Ti equipped notebooks with a similar form factor and TGP. It is really quite something how much GPU power Gigabyte was able to stuff into this chassis, without making it sound like a jet engine, but more on that later. To see if the Aero 16 deserves its creativity comes first tagline, I used the 16-incher in some typical creator workflows. In Blender, the 4070 sits between the 3080 Ti and its bigger ADA mobile brothers. And Octane Bench pretty much paints the same picture, even though the 3080 Ti in a Razer Blade 17 I had on hand was able to outperform the Aero's 4070, even though that particular card was running at 175 watts. Timeline performance for one of our videos was very alright, even though it sometimes can get a little stuttery when Resolve 18 maxes out the video memory, which can happen quite quickly with our 6K Blackmagic RAW files. I also did some export tests, but for some reason the Aero 16 performed rather poorly in this regard. So please take these numbers with a grain of salt, since I would assume there is a driver or a resolve problem at hand. Of course, a GPU's sole purpose is not only work, but also the occasional video game. And while the Aero 16 isn't your typical gaming notebook, the smaller ADA can deliver decent frame rates, and for some additional frames, the Aero 16 also comes with a mux switch. Compared to similarly thin performance notebooks, the Aero performs admirably and sits atop most 3070 Ti's and even some 3080 Ti's in most titles. The difference isn't earth-shattering, but given that we are dealing with a rather low wattage 4070, I would be very happy with those results. We tested a couple of games in 3 resolutions, so you guys can get an overview of what to expect from the Aero 16. Please enjoy the benchmarks and please consider using the time to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and maybe even liking the video, if you think we are doing a good job here. While Gigabyte put a lot of power into a rather sleek chassis, they did so with very tolerable noise levels. They also included their AI tag to identify what you are doing with your machine and adjust power modes and fan curves accordingly. It worked so fast and reliably that I decided to leave it on during testing. To get you guys an idea about what to expect when it comes to noise and power levels during different kinds of workloads, we took some noise samples for you. If you want to drown out any fan noise that bothers you, you might be a little disappointed by the Aero speakers. Unfortunately, they do not offer a sound experience fit for such a high-end premium notebook, which is quite a shame considering the experience we had with the Aero 16 so far. What is quite impressive on the other hand is battery life. The Aero is easily able to outlast the majority of the thin and light competition by quite a significant margin, and 7.5 hours for a Wi-Fi standard test is a really good result. Alright my good friends, let's wrap this up. The Aero 16 really left us impressed with its well-rounded package and flawless user experience. Gigabyte improved and fixed last year's model while slimming down the chassis and delivering a decent performance upgrade at the same time. Given that we only reviewed high-end 4090 gaming laptops that will cost you both of your kidneys so far, the €2,500 price tag for the Aero 16 in this configuration seems almost reasonable as well. Especially considering that this one will mostly cater to creatives that use their laptop more for work than for entertainment. That said, the Aero 16 can deliver for gaming as well, and especially HDR-enabled story games do look amazing on the OLED. Speaking of the screen, it's been a highlight for Gigabyte's creator-focused Aero lineup for a while, and rightfully so. It's highly customizable with its color profiles to fit your workflow, and the overall specs for the panel barely offer anything to complain about. That would be it for today. Please let us know what you think about the Aero 16 and the RTX 4070 in general in the comments below. Please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks a ton for watching. My name is Alex, you have been absolutely amazing and I cannot wait to see you all in the next one. Take care.